And the first one is with someone that already gave a talk or half a talk today, Esteban Lorenzano. He's going to show us smalltalk in the pocket, building applications for the iPhone.
Okay. Well, hi. ¿Se escucha? Okay. Well, hi again. This is my real talk. The last one doesn't count. This is what I'm preparing for this Congress. I want to start with something very simple. I'm really sorry about for the killing of the language that I'm doing here today. Yeah, I'm doing my best, but it is possible that nobody understands anything. So it is valid to interrupt me and ask what at any time. I am speaking in English or in Spanglish because I'm certainly agree with the reasons that the organizers give today. I want to have a even more successful conference next year, so I will try to do my part here. Well, this is me. I have little things to say about me. I learned Smalltalk in 1994, and until 2007 I wasn't work on it. But a few months before Smalltalks 2007, with two friends, started a new emprendimiento, a new business, a new algo, trying to live for the future and not for the past. And that's why we are here. Where to start? This is very difficult because it's a new world to explore. So I'm going to start from the beginning. And the beginning was in March of 28 when I was coding a plugin for Squeak. This plugin was a test for replacing the Squeak DBX FFI calls using an own plugin, trying to see what happens with the response and how fast can it be without much problem. And it was 11 o'clock at the night, and I was very tired, and suddenly I wanted to make a command WY, so I wanted to close a window inside Squeak, and of course nothing happened. And I get very upset. I tried to install kbinder and program that command, but I wasn't unable to do it. So I was making a plugin, and I started to write some code in Carbon at that time, not Cocoa. And in 2 hours, I had a working workspace with which understands commands and not much more. And then I decided that, as Stefan says, I deserve more. I want a real user interface that friendly with my efforts, with my work. So I decided to start a project to build a new world for Squeak, then next Faro. Of course, I had to pay the bills, and that project advances very slow. And at the beginning of this year, I found a way to combine a little bit this joy of me and my business necessities, and that is why I redirected momentarily this project to build a new world for Faro and Squeak into build native applications for the iPhone using the language that we all love. So why the iPhone? Why I want to program in the iPhone? Of course, we can say just because it's cool. Everybody wants to have an iPhone. I have mine. You can see it. And everybody wants to execute applications on it. And that's the real issue. There is a growing market on mobile applications, not just the iPhone, but the iPhone is the one who likes to me. I don't know how it says, but you understand. And so I began to build the iPhone. The main reason is to participate in this growing market and allow smalltalk programmers to participate in this growing market. Well, to program for the iPhone, we need to know what are their capabilities, and these are the 3 more important to take into account. The first is, it's not a real fast machine, but it's faster enough. And the memory is growing very fast from the 32 megabytes in the first version to 256 megabytes in the current one, and maybe it will become even bigger. But of course, almost any Squeak or Faro project runs on 256, but it's not so easy to load it from memory. It's slow, and an iPhone user certainly will observe that as unusable because it's too slow to load and then to execute, because with more memory the program becomes slower. And one of the restrictions of the iPhone is that this is not a threaded machine. You just can to run one thread at a time, which of course for those of us who uses Faro or Squeak is not a problem, because we use just one thread anyway, and maybe we can take benefit of this instead seeing it as a problem. We can take benefit of the green threads that the Faro and Squeak has and program in a threaded application even inside the iPhone. Of course, the first 3 points doesn't make sense in this conference. Everybody here likes small talk, so I don't have to defend that. And everybody knows that we can code fast and flexible and not have any compile cycle. But in a compiler development model as the iPhone, who uses, which I think is a very cool language like ObjectiveC, is can be good to speed up our development process. And all of this, we know that, yeah. So, where do we stand? What's the beginning of this? John McIntosh made, a time ago, the ad hoc VM who runs Squeak or Faro image on the iPhone, and to allow programmers to use certain things of the native application interface, he developed the ObjectiveC bridge. This bridge is the key of our development right now. And everybody knows that the Apple Store, Apple policies are very restrictive about which programs can be sold in this store, in his store. So it's good to have some real smalltalk, Squeak in this case, no, Faro in this case, running already in the Apple Store and without any problem. So for all this, with all this context, we want to take a step more. Why? Because the ObjectiveC bridge is hard to use, and you are still programming ObjectiveC, but in Faro. Why? Because you have to allocate the memory and then release, and then if you want a callback instead of log, you have to subclass to extend some class and make it run as an independent process, and all the process is very hard to sustain, and in the long term we are still programming ObjectiveC and not Smalltalk, and that's the most important limitation that I see in what is done already. Of course, John McIntosh is a hacker and he don't care, but I don't care, and I want to program Smalltalk as Smalltalk. So we create Deimos. Deimos is a framework who resembles an MVC framework. Why say some kind? Because it's not exactly like the MVC pattern. It's not the same that we had in all the MVC images or anywhere. It's more similar to C-side at that respect. It combines some things of view controller in one point, and the model can be anything you want, like let's say. The big problem here is the view. The view part is made currently using nib files. For those who doesn't know, a nib file is it means a next interface builder file, and it's an object compiled and stored as a resource acquirable but by a Cocoa application, and of course that part it is still outside or development process. What's the benefit of that? Well, we can use the interface builder that comes with Xcode, and that way we can program interfaces very fast. But of course, has a lot of drawbacks. The first one is we are still in some kind of hybrid application. We are not programming everything in Smalltalk, but one part, a small one, in Xcode as a Cocoa file, and it has to be added to our project, which means, and I know this part sucks, which means that we need to recompile the VM every time, just because we are adding new resources. Nevertheless, we are still a step away, and we are using the ObjectiveC bridge to map that objects instead using classes in ObjectiveC. We map directly the nibs using the bridge. So, how do you create a view? On ObjectiveC side, we create a nib file. It's not the purpose of this presentation to show how to do it, but it's very simple. One addition is that we later need to identify these widgets that we add into our nib files, and because of that we have to use the tag property which is present in all the Cocoa widgets. I don't like it. It's ugly, and it's a very ugly coupling between the files inside the Squeak and outside. But I didn't find any process better yet about using nibs. And as it says, the tags are for using it. So, well, they are still they are there for a reason. So it's not so bad. This is where our presentation becomes more interesting, and things now is on Faro side, on a Faro image. We have to extend a component which is called a view. Maybe it's not the best name, but I'm open to suggestions. And override two methods, just. In fact, just one. One in which we say which nib we are going to view. So let me see if I can. You don't see anything of the example there, no? Well, no sé cómo. I don't know how to put a zoom here, but let me see. Wow. I don't know. Later I will show it. I will show that in a demo, so it's not so important. But believe me, you just have to override that method, and then the second line is a registration in which you say that this view is going to be shown as root, as the first view. So later we have to access our widgets. Our widgets created and stored in a nib file are identified by tags, and we look for them recursively, and then we catch them. So It's not necessary to re-execute the process any time. We grab them as a Smalltalk objects with a full functionality, so you can send message to that object, and there will be redirected to the UI widget without any problem. And of course, once you map a widget, to store a callback is very easy. Very easy. You just need to declare to send a message on touch up inside, which is the name for an event who occurs and happens in Cocoa, and send a block to perform the action. No need to add delegates or anything of the Cocoa code. And then we need to we want to navigate the windows, replacing that, showing modals, or that navigation effect which occurs in the iPhone. In the iPhone, so we implemented 3 methods: a show modal, and push, who are like the show and answer in C-side. And that's on purpose because I like C-side and I know it, and I think it's a good way to navigate between components, between views. There are some details about the differences between them. It's not the same to call show and then answer than show modal and then answer than push and then answer, but the main purpose of these messages is to show another view and navigate them. So how do we implement this? We are in the need to maintain some context stacks to take care of the position of the application inside the squeak part instead just the Cocoa, because the Cocoa framework takes into account where is the view all the time, but as a mapping process, not all the time. So we keep a track of each view that is shown each time. And we use announcements for sending all events, internal events of the application. For example, to send an answer who restores the last shown view, and it's also provided as a mechanism for development, which, as it says, currently is just me, but I hope many will join me and the world will be one. So there is still a little problem that we are hiding the need to register a lot of semaphores for taking into account the callbacks, for execute the callbacks, and we are using an approach that creates one callback which is one semaphore new, who is waiting for a signal, each time we add an event, or each time we create a list which needs a delegate and a data source, and all of that are handled internally using semaphores, and that's that can be bad in the future, because, for example, if we have 500 processes waiting signaling, I don't know what can happen, but I think it can be real bad. But right now it's working pretty cool, as it says, so we don't see any sense on changing it. And finally, this is a controversial one. We are using the weak registry to keep track of the views not handled in the context anymore, and then disposing it in the Cocoa side. This allows us to program in the Squeak or Faro side as small-talk programmers without taking care of the release process. But there are some controversies because you are not having the control of when that releasing is happening. But I think this is the whole point of this. We want to avoid the problem of control that. Other of the problems present with this is that the iPhone sends you a message, the low memory warning, which is processed in Squeak as an event to when there are low memory in the system, and if you don't do anything, the iPhone just kills your application, and you can't do anything. So maybe we are studying. Maybe we need to change that to a little bit more controlled scheme, but we are studying that, and for now there is nothing there. Well, I'm going to show you now a working example. If this allows me, let me sit, it's more comfortable. We have here, ¿se ve? No se ve nada, ¿no? Let me see if I can zoom this. I know there are some aquí combination. Ahí está. Sí, si encuentro el más. Sí, estoy tratando de hacer zoom. Espera. Para aquí. Sí, ya sé, pero no, el más no está tampoco, así que. Control. Ahí está. Cool. Ahí no se ve nada, pero.
Ahora que estamos seguros que no podemos.
Ok.
¿No puedes cambiar dice continuo andar preferencia? El faro.
¿en Faro? No, pero no sé si puedo cambiarlo en Faro, porque es una imagen que va a correr en el iPhone. Y no es tan fácil. ¿Sorry? Sí. Well, I'm beginning to hate this. Ahí está. Bueno, ahí está. ¿Qué había que hacer en Faro para que se vea? El depth. Cool. ¿Qué le ponemos? and nothing happens. Okay. Well, I created before this class, but it has nothing here. It just is a child of a view, and we are going to assign a nib file, which I'm already created, and it has just a button that we can map and execute. So how do we map that? Create a method. Referenced by the tag ID already defined in the nib file, and then we can access them. ¿Se ve ahí, no? Okay. Touch-up inside tells the application that bueno, odio cuando ni yo conozco mi teclado. Ahí está. It's when you press the button in the iPhone and then release it, then it generates an event who is called touch-up inside. There is a touch-up outside, but I still don't know for what is used. And let's say we want to execute some action. The action right now is just in form of press. And that we save, and this we are going to the ugly part. We execute it into Xcode, and that shows the application. And let's say this. This is maybe will not work. It worked. Before press the button, I want to spray something. Last week, the iPhone VM, the ad hoc VM, worked as a background thread behind the main thread, which is used for the user interface on the iPhone. This generates a lot of problem because, for example, if you want to fill a list, you are making a call from Squeak to create the list, and the list calls Squeak again to feed the list items, and that could cause a deadlock problem and without solution in that scheme. So John changed the virtual machine last week. So now everything is running on the main thread, and because of that, this version of the virtual machine is not very stable yet. So maybe the process will be aborted sometime. But if we do that, we have our first application. But what happens if I want to do some cool Squeak programming, smalltalk programming? Now, let me take this. Right now I have a VNC running inside the simulator. this image now is inside the iPhone. It could be inside the iPhone, now it's in the simulator, and we can change anything. I want to add a new class.
Currently changing the image in the iPhone?
Yeah. Yes. For example, another image which I already created, but it shows just a single message and with a back button. Let me change this. Oh. As I said, this nib just have a message. Well, it asks me for my initials. That's a bug on Faro. We need to change that. It asks every time for my for the initials. And we map a button which now believes me. It's with the tag identifier 20. Ouch. It's the opposite. Sorry for inconvenience. It's just a little bit. And we want to map a label which is tag, and we want it to behave as a label. So I map to that particular widget type. So on the initialization, we tell the button that we want to answer, and we tell a label that a hello world, of course. This is the class, so now we call it. We have to call it, and then we are going to replace this method as is. And ya terminé. Ouch. Demo. And this is okay. So if I press this button right now, it's going to I'm changing and going back. It's a very stupid demo, but it shows how you can program the iPhone inside the iPhone and being successful. Yes, I can do that.
No, not now. I mean,
Why not? It's cool. Okay. Yes, of course. ¿Me la repetís en español y le contesto en inglés? No, this is legal. I'm registered. I pay for that, and this is all legal. You don't have to jailbreak, because the whole point of this is to being able to use the commercialization channel that Apple Store offers, and if you use the jailbreak, it has no sense.
So that's because you compile your OVM.
Yeah, you need to compile your OVM still. Well, this is the demo. Later, if time is enough, I can show that running inside here. So, what are the problems that we found here? First one, o como se diga, the deadlock problem that I told you just now, but that's being worked on. I can tell that it's being worked on by me because I don't understand anything about the virtual machine, but John is very helpful and he makes the change and I test and send reports and he makes the change again. So I think this won't be a problem next month, for example. There is a philosophical problem. If I'm trying to construct a framework usable for everybody, so I need to test it. And that's a problem because I don't know how to test this. I'm just executing things, and well, any idea will be considered because it's a real problem right now. The other is you have to take into account that you are inside an iPhone anyway, because your resources are not unlimited. And the image size is a problem because almost any application on the Apple Store has an average of 1 megabyte of size, and our applications size are around 5 megabytes, and that's unloading a lot of things. So we are very excited about Pavel's work, and we want to take those images and build our production images with it, but it is still not loading Monticello, so we still can't load our work, and we are waiting very anxiously that. The other, on the future, what's on the future? A sponsor will be okay. I would like to assign a lot more time on this, but I'm doing my best. I think I'll be okay anyway. But there is a lot of stabilization of optimization to do. Right now, if you want to use the show answer and take the answer results, you have to add an event on answer, and I want that the program behaves as a single column return program. I mean, I say equals self show anything and have an answer, a right answer. And well, instead to the VM recompilation anytime, we can use bundles, but I really don't like this one. But it can be useful, but not very useful. Much more in the future, I want to get rid of all the NIF files using a declarative style and creating objects that grabs UI objects directly will allow us to program really all the program inside Smalltalk. And if all of you heard my presentation in the morning, I love Magritte, so why not to create an iMagritte who builds our user interfaces automatically. So why this? Because we start this framework as 2 minutes. We start this framework who is called Deimos. Deimos in ancient Greek mythology means fear. because it's one of the sons of the war, Mars. But it's not about mythology, but being around Mars. And Mars is a bigger project, which is the start of all of this, which is to create native user interfaces for the Mac and now for the iPhone. But that's another story, and I hope I can tell you next year that one. Questions? Anyone? Anybody?
Do you have any limitations using this image on the iPhone? I mean, can you use the denominator, for example?
Yes, we can use it. We can map any event happening in the iPhone side. It's still not done yet because mainly this project is growing as I'm needing the features. But next I will add support for the localization API, for example. That's what I'm going to be in the 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm adding functionality as I'm needing it. More questions? No one? Okay. Thank you very much. And hope you enjoy.